Every year in Britain, over 5 million wild birds and animals suffer injury as a direct result of encounters with the modern world. For the most part, their injuries are the result of accidents, and without care and attention, they inevitably die. That was until Les Stocker, a former accountant and businessman, chose to dedicate his life to their salvation.
I always remember thinking about the injured animal, how alone it was, how it had nobody to look after it, nobody seemed to care. It was just that feelings that made it quite easy for me, really, to start taking them in. I didn't mind what time of day or night or when they came in. I still sort of found the time. I had the time, found it quite easy to look after them.
Les and his family live at Aylesbury, some 40 miles northwest of London. From his home, he runs a registered charity nicknamed St. Tiggywinkles, but in fact, the Wildlife Hospital Trust. From the road, his may look an ordinary suburban house, but take a look at his backyard. On any given day, you might come across squirrels and sparrowhawks, seagulls and kestrels, badgers, deer, owls, some with broken wings, others with cuts, concussion, broken legs even. The star patient is the hedgehog, and there are currently around 80 on the mend.
If I show you another one, actually they're quite cuddly underneath. This one will play the game or not. I think this one's got all its fur. See, it's quite furry, whereas that other one was quite bored. So he said, oh, that one bites as well. Let go.
So many hedgehogs have passed through, or perhaps I should say bitten, Les's hands. He is reputed to be the world's leading expert on hedgehog care. In fact, he's written best-selling books on the subject, one of which has recently been translated into German. Les Stocker's writing is his sole form of income. As a trustee, he can take no money from his charity. To help run the trust, he employs 5 full-timers and an army of volunteers. Some help with the animals, others help in the office. Each mailbag brings much-needed income. Checks to buy St. Tiggywinkle merchandise, monies raised from fetes, schools, sponsored games, requests to adopt animals. Everything helps, particularly when the aim is to build a hospital on a permanent site that will cost over £1 million. Les, meantime, tends his patients.
This is another car accident. He's obviously had a very bad head bang on the head. You can see his head's twisted, which usually means a sign of some sort of head damage. I'll put him on his back. Hopefully he might just nod off to sleep and I can check his ears out. Come on, you can relax. Relax, come on. Relax. Relax. That's a good boy. Look in your ears. Come on. That's all right, isn't it? All right? The other one. It's a little technique I learned about if you lay an owl on its back and tickle it behind the ears, sometimes you can get it to sort of go to sleep. Over the next 2 or 3 days, his head will straighten up and it'll all be back to normal. Owls are getting scarce, so he'll be back on his own, you know, in the wild in a couple of months, probably. We've got 300 of these blown up in an explosion. And what has happened is that somehow their circulation has been impaired, and their beaks are falling off. So what we're doing is collecting beaks and giving them artificial beaks just so that they can feed, and hopefully, once again, nobody knows whether they'll grow a new beak or not.
It's hard to believe Les Stocker is self-taught.
I've had no sort of formal training on animal care. Nobody had actually done the work anyway, so there was no chance of any formal training. I scoured for books about the subject, which there are very few, and then it was just a question of learning as I went along.
But with more than 7,000 animals a year passing through the hospital, there are times when he needs veterinary help. And therein lies the real problem, because vets themselves have no training in wildlife care.
Some are very, very interested. Others will flatly refuse to work on wildlife. We do need these veterinary techniques. You know, it's often a question of you learning together on the subject. I think some vets will tend to put an animal down rather than attempt to save it. I think this is not callousness, it's just a question of economics at times. That badger we're working on, that's going to cost the trust here, or me, £250 to mend. There's not many people going to pay that sort of bill on a badger, so they do tend to get put down if they can't come somewhere like this.
Nice picture here. Fractured left femur, as you can see quite plainly. That'll be no trouble to fix at all. But
Veterinary services, as you've heard, are not cheap. And with an ever-increasing demand on the hospital's facilities, a permanent site becomes daily more urgent. But thanks to his wife Sue and son Colin, who between them have raised £750,000 toward its construction, it's getting closer. On land donated by the local council, Europe's first wildlife teaching hospital will soon become reality.
Well, with this Rolex money, I'm going to build at the new hospital a permanent reference library. As you can see, I've got thousands and thousands of books, and there's so many more books I want to get on the subject, so that they'll be there for forever.
From these reference books, it can be seen that a 1982 survey estimated there were under 100 mating pairs of the bittern left in the British Isles. Last night, one of their number was rushed to hospital. A phone call this morning revealed less than a handful remain.
Something like the bittern really does hit home. You know, you realise that's probably the only bittern in Britain, or one of only 2 or 3. And it really is a worry, because I'm calling on my experience. There's no other experience to call on with a bittern, so it's very much on my shoulders, and it is a great worry. You know, I've been up 3 times during the night to him, you know, just to make sure he's okay.
The bittern highlights the responsibilities of wildlife care. But Les Stocker has proved its importance, and soon all his efforts will be translated into his teaching hospital, ensuring Britain's wildlife, if injured, will have every chance of survival.